if I'm an undocumented person, are there risks to traveling inside of the US in an airplane? So keep on watching. We're going to answer some of the things that you need to think about before you board an airplane and are undocumented. So there's various different angles to this. I mean, one thing is, can you travel? Are there risks to traveling? What documentation do I need to travel? And in terms of documentation, I'm just going to pull up this window screen that says it's from, all right, so this is the identification, a driver's license. The real ID does not begin to take effect until, May of 2025. A US passport card, these other documents, legal permanent resident card, border crossing card, these other documents that I would imagine are not as common. Your employment authorization document, your work permit. So, for some people that are undocumented, they may have a driver's license and that should be sufficient. If you have DACA, or some other sort of work permit, you still might be undocumented and that work permit document would be enough to travel inside of the US, right? Now the thing that you the thing that you got to keep in mind though is, so another thing you got to keep in mind if you're undocumented, I mean, just because you can travel, just because you have the right document, you have your work permit, maybe you just have your driver's license, you have your country's passport. Just because you have that doesn't mean you're going to be safe. Being able to travel and there being like limited risk or no risk, two different things, right? You can travel with these documents, but there's also a risk. If you are undocumented, there's always going to be a risk. Doesn't matter, if you have some sort of documentation. If you are undocumented, there's always a risk that you can be deported, that immigration can get you and place you in removal proceedings. One thing that is very helpful to know. So the ACLU put this infographic together. There's a law under the Immigration Nationality Act, which basically says that immigration can stop you without, they can stop you and they can ask for your immigration status, things like that. So right here, a federal law, which is what I'm referring to, states that without a warrant, so if you commit a crime or something, or there's probable cause, things like that. The criminal law, there's more protections, but at least here for immigration, without a warrant, CBP can board vehicles and vessels and search for people without immigration documents within a reasonable distance from any external boundary of the US. So there's older movies that show things like this. Let's see if I can pull one up. I can't find it, but I know there's a clip in Born in East LA where it has, immigration officers stopping a bus and asking for people's documents, things like that. So yeah, there is a law that allows immigration CBP to do that, and they are allowed to do that within the external boundaries, which is 100-mile border zone, and that image, maybe it can be pulled up bigger. This image, it shows what are the limits, where can they do it, where is the 100-mile border zone. And as you can see, there is a lot of different cities, even if it's not right off of the Mexican border, because it's still off of the coast, which is you're still going to be coming in. It has that as well. So this is just something important to keep in mind. Like, even if you're flying, maybe on the West Coast, CBP isn't as cold-hearted. Maybe they're not as gun-ho about getting individuals, but maybe that'll be different in Houston or Wilmington. Who knows? Different cities, different priorities of those CBP agencies. But this is just something to keep in mind. I will link it down below. And it's always something just to keep in mind. If you're flying from one city to another one, flying from LAX to Tampa or wherever you're flying to, there's always going to be that risk. So in terms of what documents you need to have, previously went over that. In terms of whether there is a risk, I mean, if you go within that 100-mile border zone, there is going to be a risk, whether something's going to happen It's, can't know for sure, but there is a risk, right? Whether you should travel, I mean, that depends upon each person, I mean, some people are more risk tolerant, some people are less risk tolerant, it just really depends. If a person has prior deportation orders, they have prior, maybe that they were deported by a judge, they never left, or they went to the border, they were given a deportation order, they came back. I mean, for those people, the risks are a lot higher. So that's also something to keep in mind. They're not every person, not every case is going to be the same. So you just have to weigh the pros and the cons. If you're flying, for fun, for a vacation or something, I mean, that's different than if it's like, life and death situation. So just something to keep in mind. The other thing I would say too, let's say you do fly, you should have one of these. It's called a red card. And the benefits to this is that it just a little bit more information about your rights. You can download them and they're in different languages. And the good thing about this, it just tells you, your rights in the event immigration stops you. So do not open the door. Do not answer any questions from an immigration agent. If they try to talk to you, you have the right to remain silent. Do not cite anything without first speaking to a lawyer. You have the right to speak with a lawyer. If you're outside of your home, ask the agent if you are free to leave. And if they say yes, leave calmly. Give this card to the agent. If you are inside of your home, show the card through the window or slide it under the door. And yeah, just has a little bit more information here. But yeah, the benefits to this is, if you're not required to speak with them, and you're likely not going to be required, you have the right to remain silent. You may think, hey, if I'm cooperative, if I help them, they're going to help me. And that's not necessarily true. If you say something that's going to affect you, they're going to use that against you. If you say you're undocumented, I was born in another country, I do not have lawful permanent resident status, they're going to use that against you. They're not going to try to help you to keep you here. Maybe that could happen, but realistically, they will use that against you to try to remove you. So they're not your friend. The best thing is to remain silent. If you are ever stopped, get an attorney, speak with one. And these are pretty much just like know your rights cards. They call them red cards. But hopefully that is helpful in terms of, letting you know more of what you should know if you are going to travel. And if something bad happens, knowing what to do. If you learned something from this video, please let me know by hitting that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Most people watching this are not subscribed, so it'll help us a lot.